The Galactic Academy's cafeteria buzzed with the usual chaos of interspecies adolescence. 17-year-old Adnan sat quietly at his corner table, picking at what the food dispensers optimistically called universal protein blend. His dark eyes scanned the room, watching clusters of alien students from dozens of worlds share meals and gossip in languages that still sounded like musical chaos to his ears. 3 months into his exchange program, Adnan had learned that being the only human at Kepler Station Academy came with both fascination and isolation. Most students were curious about the bipedal mammals from the recently discovered Sol system, but few bothered to look beyond his exotic appearance. "Look at the little primate," sneered Zextar, a towering chronari whose crystalline exoskeleton caught the artificial light. His 3 companions, another chronari and 2 slug-like helixians, flanked him as he approached Adnan's table. "Still eating that disgusting organic matter?" Adnan looked up calmly. The chronari were silicon-based life forms who absorbed energy directly from radiation sources. To them, biological consumption was primitive and revolting. "It keeps me alive," he replied simply, continuing to eat. "Pathetic," spat one of the helixians, its translator collar rendering the words in flat, mechanical tones. How did such a backward species even achieve space travel? The other students in the nearby area began to take notice, conversations dying as they sensed potential conflict. Adnan felt familiar knots forming in his stomach, not from fear but from the weary recognition of another confrontation. "I heard humans leak salt water from their optical sensors when distressed," Zexitar continued, leaning closer. "Is that true, little mammal?" "Why don't you leave me alone?" Adnan asked quietly, still not rising from his seat. "Because you don't belong here," the second chronari interjected. "This academy is for civilized species, not primitive apes who barely learned to manipulate fire a few thousand cycles ago." The tension in the cafeteria was palpable now. Even the staff, various alien species employed by the station, had stopped their work to watch. Adnan slowly stood, his modest human height still impressive compared to the slug-like helixians but dwarfed by the towering chronari. "I'm not looking for trouble," Adnan said, his voice steady despite the adrenaline building in his system. "Trouble found you." Zextar laughed, and without warning his crystalline appendage shot forward, striking Adnan across the face with enough force to send the human sprawling across the floor. The crack of crystal against bone echoed through the suddenly silent cafeteria. Adnan hit the ground hard, his cheek splitting open as he rolled to a stop near the viewing ports. Dark red blood, a sight alien to most of the students present, began to pool beneath his head. For a moment there was only silence. Then a single drop of Adnan's blood hit the deck plating near the wall. The reaction was immediate and terrifying. Every light in the cafeteria suddenly shifted from the standard white to deep crimson. Emergency klaxons began wailing throughout the station. The deck beneath their feet began to vibrate with an ominous harmonic frequency that made several students' internal organs resonate uncomfortably. But most shocking of all was what emerged from the walls themselves. Panels that had seemed like ordinary bulkheads suddenly slid away, revealing arrays of weapons that none of the students, or even the staff, had ever seen before. Sleek, dangerous-looking devices that hummed with barely contained energy pointed directly at the assembled crowd. "Human biological material detected," announced a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The translation was unnecessary. The words somehow implanted themselves directly into every conscious mind present, regardless of species or native language. "Human blood signature confirmed. Initiating protection protocol Omega." Zextar and his companions froze in terror as the weapon systems locked onto them specifically. The other students pressed themselves against the walls, suddenly understanding they were witnessing something far beyond their comprehension. "Scanning for threat assessment," the voice continued. "Human subject has sustained injury. Identifying aggressive entities." Through the blood running down his face, Adnan managed to push himself up on one elbow. His vision was blurry, but he could see the absolute terror on Zextar's face as the chronari realized what was happening. "Oh no," Adnan whispered, understanding dawning despite his concussion. They didn't tell them. From across the cafeteria, Nehal, a brilliant Terran girl 2 years older than Adnan, came running. She'd been studying in the adjacent library when the alarms began. Her brown eyes took in the scene instantly. Adnan bleeding on the floor, the alien bullies frozen in terror, and the station's hidden weapons systems fully deployed. "Computer, stand down," she shouted. "Human authorization Nihal 77 Alpha. Medical attention required, not military response." "Authorization confirmed," the voice replied. "Adjusting protocol. Medical teams dispatched. Maintaining defensive posture until human subjects confirm safety." As Nihal knelt beside Adnan, pressing her jacket against his bleeding cheek, she looked up at the terrified alien students. "You really didn't know, did you?" she asked almost sadly. "Know what?" stammered Zextar, his earlier arrogance completely evaporated. Nihal helped Adnan sit up properly as medical teams came rushing into the cafeteria. "You didn't know why humans were really accepted into the Galactic Academy program so quickly," she explained, despite being new to the galactic community. The assembled students remained silent, weapons still trained on them. "Earth didn't just recently discover space travel," Adnan said weakly, accepting a medical scanner from one of the arriving technicians. "We've been traveling between stars for over 300 years. We built this station." The silence that followed was deafening. Kepler Station, like 47 other educational and research facilities throughout this sector, was constructed by human engineers using human technology, Nihal continued. "We've been watching, learning, studying all of your species for centuries before making official first contact." She gestured to the still active weapon systems. "Every facility we built has protection protocols. They're keyed to human DNA, human biological signatures, just in case our new galactic neighbors weren't as friendly as they claimed to be." Zextar's legs actually buckled. The reality of what he'd done, attacking a member of the species that had built the very station they lived and studied on, crashed over him like a wave. "The funny thing is," Adnan said, accepting help to stand, "most humans your age probably would have just reported you to administration and moved on. We really don't like violence." He looked directly at his attackers, blood still trickling down his cheek. "But our technology is very protective of us, especially when we're young." The weapon systems remained active, humming with deadly potential, as the medical team finished treating Adnan's injuries. Around the cafeteria, hundreds of alien students who had thought they understood humanity's place in the galaxy began to realize they understood nothing at all. "Computer," Nihal said finally. "Threat assessment complete. Stand down to yellow alert." As the weapons retracted and the lights returned to normal, Adnan looked at Zextar one last time. "Next time," he said quietly, "maybe just ask if you can sit down and talk instead." The lesson, it seemed, was just beginning.